amazing. You know, every time Bob and Shannon are here, the first thing they come and talk to me about, and they say, what do you need? What do you need to support what's going on today? Assuming that I have any idea what I'm going to say today. But let me tell you, that is a rare thing in the music world. So many musicians and singers come and they say, here's what I want to do, because this is going to sell CDs for me. They come in and say, how can I integrate myself and be a part of something beautiful and holy? And they change the songs on the spot. I heard the lyrics to that song and I said, that's the one. That's the one. I think that deserves another round of applause, because that consciousness on the planet is so important. And I'm sure you remember last week, we had some fun last week. We laughed and we cried and we got real. It got raw, and we shared every part of ourselves. Well, I shared every part of myself. I got many, many emails about my broken zipper and sitting on that stool next to those beautiful women. See, those of you who weren't here last week, you see what you missed. You know, we're in a series of authenticity, and it got really authentic last week, and we're going to continue that message this week of authenticity. But I thought it might be kind of fun to have something a little fun and light to start the day. So there was this Irish priest, and he was the priest over a little tiny community in the middle of nowhere, Ireland, and he was fed up. He was so fed up that on Sunday mornings all of the menfolk were down at the pub, and they weren't sitting in the pews where they belonged. So he decided he was going to take church to the streets. And he left his parish, and he went into the pub, and he went to the first gentleman sitting there at a table, and he said, look here, young man, you know that God loves you, don't you? Do you want to go to heaven? And the little man said, well, certainly I do, Father. I want to go to heaven. And he said, good, then go stand against the wall. And he goes to the old guy sitting over on the other side of the pub, and he says, old-timer, you know God loves you too. Do you want to go to heaven? He says, oh, certainly, Father, I want to go to heaven. Then go stand against the wall. And then he sees Seamus. Seamus is the town drunk who's never darkened the doorway of a church. And he goes, Seamus, you're a no-good drunk, and everybody knows it. But God loves you too. Do you want to go to heaven? And Seamus is shocked, and he just shakes his head. You're telling me, Seamus, you don't want to go to heaven when you die? Well, certainly, Father, I want to go to heaven when I die, but I thought you were taking up a tour for today. I love it when a joke works. You never know. When I tell it to Susie, I don't get nearly the reaction. We're taking up a tour to heaven at Unity North. We're not waiting for somebody to show up and to take us there. We're not waiting for some mythological place of reward because we have obeyed all the rules and done everything the way the I's and the T's should be crossed. We're living in and taking responsibility from the standpoint that heaven is here, is now, it's a state of consciousness, and we're going to create it by being authentically us. Now, how many of you stood absolutely naked? That was your homework last week, to stand, to go home, take off all your clothes and stand in front of the mirror and go, I behold the presence of God. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. Well, good week. Good thing this is a 3-part series. You have 2 more weeks to figure that out. But here's what I know is we create heaven on earth. We're not here by accident. The people in your life are not there by accident. We're not gathered here today by any kind of mishap of creation, but by a divine appointment. As ambassadors of creating heaven here and now, our relationships are vitally important to manifest something more beautiful, something more holy. And I want to ask the question of you. Okay, you got a little real with yourself. You got authentic at home when you were alone. I certainly find it much easier to be real and to get along with people when I'm alone. But let me ask a question. The old adage, if the tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? If you're standing in front of the mirror and you're completely naked going, you're the beloved presence of God, and then you go out and you're inauthentic and you're hiding still, you're playing Halloween, hide and seek, and you're not allowing yourself to be that real in a relationship with somebody else besides you, is it true authenticity? Is it true transparency? Is it real at all? Is it genuine? Well, let's see if we can answer that question today, because I know that our human relationships are the very portal through which we create heaven on earth, the good, the bad, and the ugly ones. Can we, as a basic foundational of what unity teaches, behold the face of God everywhere at all times? Can we trust people at such a deep level to know that the face of God and the Spirit of God and the heart of God will meet us if we can stand that naked? Now, I'm saying, don't go out to eat today and take off all your clothes in the restaurant. But take off the emotional clothes, the armor that you put on. It blows me away and it breaks my heart that there's a whole bunch of people walking around thinking that in order to relate to people on the planet, they have to put on the armor of God. I have to protect myself from being hurt. God is for you. And if God is for you, nothing is against you. You don't need to put any armor on. What you need to do is take the armor off that says, I trust the universe. I trust that I can go out and be completely and totally me, real me out in the world, and know that I will absolutely be taken care of. Authentic relationships are absolutely essential for creating heaven on earth. Now, as we talked about last week, we look around, there's plenty of evidence that there's superficiality running rampant on the planet. We've defined ourselves by our armor, by our jobs, by our tasks, by the things and the labels that we have been given, the roles that we have to play, the things that we have. This is all armor of protection. And I'm saying the time has come to heal the planet and to heal our own lives and our own humanity, to let all of that go, to let it fall aside. But, you know, the superficiality looks a lot like this cartoon. I've got a whole bunch of cartoons for you today. Let's put the first one up there. Wes, you there? There we go. Look at that. Recognize it? Let's compromise. Let's compromise the truth of our being just a little bit because we know better than God, doing business as us, and let's just communicate here and there. Only when I'm absolutely sure that you're not going to tear me down. This is a sad state of affairs if you ask me. So I have 7 pointers, just 7 of mine. There's probably 7,000, and you can probably come up with another 7,000, but I use 7 because it's a number of completion. How long do you be real? How long do you stand in front of the mirror? How long do you be emotionally naked at the pub where you're going to go afterwards? You got a little uncomfortable there, didn't you? How does he know I'm going to the pub? I'll see you there. I'll meet you there. You think this is water? We have got to come to the place with point number 1 of telling the truth, my second cartoon. This is what I kind of recognize a lot when I'm relating to people. Second cartoon, please. There we go. We want to read that one. We are going around offering bits and pieces of who we are, but we're not telling the truth. And so you're sitting in a church, and I want to say take off all the pretense. If you're feeling sad, express the sadness. If you're feeling afraid, express being afraid. If you're feeling angry, it is absolutely okay and necessary to get through the portal of your emotions to the heaven on earth that we want to create. You cannot play loosely with truth. We have to know that there must be a great coupling, a great partnership. By the way, Bob and Shannon have been married since the last time they were here. They finally woke up to the partnership we knew was already a great coupling. But if we have a basic tenet that God is for you and nothing can be against you, and we have gotten true to the light of our being, we've been told we are the light of the world, you are perfect, whole, and complete, and that greater things than I have done you will do as well, that part of us will rush in and keep us safe. But we have to tell the truth. Now, I'm not saying be authentically rude. That would not be in integrity with the Christ of your being. I'm not saying be authentically mean or racist or creating duality. That is not authentic. That would be an inauthentic expression of the Christ and the light of your being. But I'm saying be human. Our master teacher said, I'm in the world, but I'm not defined by it. I'm in it, but I'm not of it. And our job is to be in it. And to be in it, we have to express what I'm feeling less than what I would want to be feeling. I am sad. I am angry. I am afraid. I am frustrated. And when it is embraced and coupled and bundled up in the power, the divine power of love, only good can come from that. The marriage of our spiritual nature and our human nature come together in a great way of creating a portal of relationship that becomes the very avenue to God more than any sanctuary, more than any church, more than any building, more than any talk. Relationship becomes the portal. I tell my truth you tell your truth and something beautiful comes forward. Not authentically rude and ugly, but authentically human and authentically spiritual all at the same time. Now, what does that take from us? It takes us a little bit of trust. A little bit of trust. Let's go to our next cartoon. That was tell the truth. There we go. Trust. There we go. We'll get there, Wes. We're going to dance together today. Poor Wes has the job of trying to dance with me as I jump around in my schizophrenia. Take a look at that cartoon. I have to trust that the person in front of me is showing me their authentic self. I have to come to the place that if I am seeing the presence of God in front of me, that they're also doing the same for me. It is the place of namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. The good in me beholds the good in you. And if you cannot find that place of namaste, it is absolutely okay in authentic relationship to take a step back. Let me find the presence of God here. Let me find the trust before I just jump in. So many people say, okay, the minister told me to go share my truth, and there you put your guts on the table and they get stomped all over because that person was not ready to meet you at that frequency, at that vibration. And so your job is to be the one who is conscious and awake. Is there trust? Is there trust? And you will find the people. You will become a magnetizing presence to the Christ. If you live and breathe and have your authentic nature grounded in the Christ, the Christ-like people who can play in that same frequency will be brought to you. But you must be conscious. It's a great dance. It's a great game of jump rope. You ever been in a jump rope game? It's like, when do I get in? You will be led and you will be guided where it is safe and where it is not safe and where you can find the place of trust. In any relationship, 2 people are gathered physically, but there are 6 people involved. Always 6 people involved. 1 is who I think I am from my human egotistic. My human thinks, my collection of baggage, my collection of history, this is who I think I am. And then there's who you think you are. There's 2 people involved. But no, then there's your judgment of me. Your lens that you're looking at me through, which has all kinds of projection. Anybody ever dealt with projection? Let me tell you, if you want to just heal your projection in your life, become a minister and stand on a platform, and you become everybody's ex-boyfriend. Or everybody's father, or brother, or the person. It just happens. It's part of the human nature. So there's my projection of you and your projection of me. Also, 2 more people. Now we have 4. Those are the 4 that are grounded in the world of illusion that we need to get past. Not everybody wants to get past those 4. But then there is the divine essence of who I am and the divine essence of you, the place of namaste. But the only way we get to the sincerest, most genuine place of namaste is we're going to be real with each other and we're going to trust each other that the information I'm getting is absolutely true and that you're not hiding. We're not playing hide and seek. So as I'm sharing my truth, I'm also very conscious about where I can trust, in and out. It's a great, wonderful dance. But let me tell you, it's the only way you're going to find heaven on earth. If you are hiding your humanity, you will not get to the ultimate vibration and frequency that is heaven. You're going to be forever seeking, and you'll never get there. Let's get real. Number 3. Do we have another cartoon to put up there? Let me see what the next one. Is there another cartoon? There we go. Take a look at that one. Embrace individuality. Ladies, this is for you. Sometimes the only emotion that we guys have is I'm really hungry. I'm really tired. We're not going to manufacture something. That's how shallow we can be at times as men. But it's real. It's real. We need to begin to embrace individuality. When we find the people we can trust to share our truth, to be authentically who we are, we need to understand that our job is not to make you a carbon copy of me. That there are people who are going to enter your field who have different opinions than you. There are going to be people that you have very little in common with, that you don't agree with. Great. Celebrate it, because what happens when you're meeting these people, St. Paul talks about a hand, a foot, an eye, and an ear in the body of God. And a hand looks at a foot for the first time and goes, you look very foreign to me. You have a different task than me, yet they are part of the whole body. By the way, do you like my purple socks? I'm trying to embrace my individuality. There's only one person you can change in a relationship, and that is you. And if your mindset is about changing somebody else or having a greater than and less than experience with their opinion and your opinion, that's the cause of all suffering. You need to step back and go to the place of, I need to go to Namaste. That Republican in front of me is the face of God no less than me as an independent. Now, before all you liberals get all high and mighty here, as an independent, I also have to do the same thing with the liberal-minded people. If you're on a growing path, people who are weird and strange and foreign to you, alien, are going to show up in your field. You cannot and will not make exceptions to where you find the face of God, no matter how difficult it is to see it, because if you cannot do that, then your spiritual path is a big sham. Embracing the individuality of God is the portal to heaven. And the minute you're sitting at a table with somebody you don't understand and you get up and walk away, you're the lesser person in the equation, not the person that you disagree with. And I want you to hear that. We are called to not make exceptions no matter who's sitting across the table from us. And that is authentic, that's raw, it's difficult, there's nothing easy about it. But if your spiritual path is sound, it must be a part of the equation. So I'm okay, you're okay, and my authenticity will meet your authenticity. And how do we do that? What's the best way to do that? The master teacher told us to come apart for a while. And sometimes we think that means go to the mountain or go to the high room. Sometimes it means recognizing, as the Buddha pointed out, you have 2 ears and you have 1 mouth. Perhaps listening is the greatest way to discover that which is hidden beneath the surface of behavior. Perhaps getting quiet is the greatest way to discover that which I have missed with the 5-sensory world, with the eyes and the ears of my humanness. I need to look more deeply, more passionately from a spiritual place. You know, Susie and I used to go to restaurants and we'd look at the old couples who would sit there for an hour and a half having a meal and they'd never speak a word to each other. I turned to her at one point in my arrogance and I said, God, shoot me if we ever become that. You get a little older, a little grayer, you get a little wiser. And now I see those couples who have transcended the need for words, who are connecting at such a beautiful, deep place that words get in the way of the love being expressed. They're listening to each other with every bite, with every look of an eye. And thank God that my wife and I are discovering that intimacy that is so raw, so authentic. But it takes the time to listen. Richard Croker and I are working on a book together. I don't know when it's going to be done, maybe sometime in 30 years from now. But all roads in that book, every single chapter where we're trying to make a point and get to the point, it's boiling down to listen. Listen. There's something beneath the surface of the water, of the ocean, that is still, that is beautiful, that is calling for our attention. Do you have a song that might fit here, Bob, at this point? I told him, I said, I might just give me a chorus that has to do with listening beneath the surface, finding that place that is so beautiful. Give me a cartoon as Bob's making his way up here. Let's look at that one. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can say more with, yeah. But then the ego engages, and then I'm a minister, I have to have 5,000 words to say what was enough to say. Or how about this one? We did it, the breath work. Do that with me again. I want you to consider a relationship, a place of trust, of truth, of authenticity, where all that is needed is to sit at the table having a meal of love, to just go, For an authentic relationship, to get us to the portal to creation of heaven on earth, listening is vitally, vitally important. What do you got?
I got something here.
I have a musician that can just pull it up like that.
I want to invite you to just go inward for a moment while we do this part. going back to Namaste. When the words fell off of your tongue, the damage was already done. When the war inside of you meets the war inside of me, the words are only the gun. Yeah. When there's two pair of eyes that are blind, broken hearts entangled in their own lives, we're brothers and sisters, we're mystical whispers of some big and beautiful wind. We're divinely connected, we're held and protected when we can see each other within.
When the war in me, we all have stuff going on the inside. And it's not contained in the bathroom as you stand there naked. It must be shared. And somebody's going to have a war going on inside of them, and it's like, thank God you reminded me I'm not alone in this. And there's a heaven going on the inside of you. And when you allow yourself to be completely, authentically real about how beautiful you are, not arrogantly so, you open up a field for somebody to be in relationship with you that needs to be reminded that it's okay to recognize the heaven within you. And that place of namaste, that place of congruity and connection becomes the only portal to rediscovering God. And then the eyes that you're looking with into the eyes of the person across the table become deeper eyes, more profound eyes. And the soul by which you are relating to that person and they are relating to you is so vitally important. And the universe rushes in to support that sacred, beautiful union. Stop looking for a soulmate and realize that everybody on the planet is your soulmate. Everybody on the planet is hungry for you to be authentically real, and God will protect you, will keep you safe. And if it doesn't feel safe, then you back up. But boy, if it feels safe, stand there. Stand there naked and be real, be raw. And to know that the kingdom of heaven is being born in that moment where two or more are gathered in the name of that no person, no energy, no war can tear it asunder. And that's not just words for a wedding, that is words for the marriage that comes every time God meets God and God meets God. Give us one more little chorus.
The blood that flows through you and the breath that's breathing me, it's all from one infinite mind. And we're brothers and sisters in mystical whispers of some big and beautiful wind. And we're divinely connected, and we are held and protected when we can see each other within.
We belong to each other. That song wasn't planned. Isn't it beautiful to have somebody who can just, bam, right there? I think it was Mark Twain who said, if you can't improve the silence, just keep your mouth shut. And I believe it was Richard Burdick who says, if you can't improve the silence, let Bob Simon do it. We have one more cartoon before I move on to my next point. Take a look at that one. Recognize it? Been there, done that on both sides of that table. Let's go to the next point I want to make, intention. We need to be conscious beings. We are called to consciousness. We are called to being awake. And what is your intention? And there's a great spectrum of relationship that I wanted to play out here that begins with needs. One of the worst lines in the history of Hollywood, it just drives me nuts. I believe it was Jerry Maguire or Ghost or one of those sappy chick flicks. Oh, God, forgive me, I have sinned. So I can be real with all of you, but I can't be real with Averill. You complete me. You complete me. If you are walking through the planet on this side of the spectrum with any sense of need, I need you to complete me because I am broken. We have an inauthentic relationship because if you are authentic with your divine nature, you have no needs. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, the Mother's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and it's already been given. You don't need somebody else to complete you because you are beautiful without them. Now we move forward on our little spectrum here, and we get to desire. We talked about this in class. Desire, which is the etymology of the word desire, is of the Father. Desire, that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but I want to evolve that energy a little bit more to the middle way, which is what the Buddha talked about, walking the middle path, not too far one way or the other, and that is intention. And intention, I noticed a lot of the songs that we're singing together today have the words I am in them. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. Intention brings it a little bit more to a we are experience. That's why I asked Julie to say you are and we are in the songs. What do I intend to bring? An authentic relationship must be two ways. So what is my intention that I'm here to receive? Not everybody's going to meet that intention. Now, we go to the other part of it. It becomes an expectation. Very much similar to the energy of need. I expect you to show up a certain way. And if you don't show up this certain way, you are wrong. You are bad. And that throws us right back to, because I need you to be this way. And what is expectation very close to in the Buddhist path? They will tell you attachment. And when you are in a relationship that is about, I am attached to, this is the way you have to behave, suffering is just around the corner. Open the door, you're going to suffer. Now, if you like suffering, go ahead and hang out there. But I'm saying back it up, close the door, and get to the place of intention. Who am I called to be here on this planet? That is my intention. Who am I called to be at work? Who am I called to be at home? Who am I called to be at family gatherings? Who am I called to be at church? And if there is any difference between any one of those things, you're playing hide and seek somewhere in your life. The intention is at a deeper place. A lot of people were talking last week after the message, and they said, well, I have to act this way here, that I'm being authentic over here a certain way, and then I'm being authentic over here a different way, but I don't tell everybody everything. And I'm asking you to consider this week as your homework that authentically who you are should be the same at work as it is at home, as it is in front of the mirror, as it is at church. And to examine any part of you that's putting up a wall of protection. Let God take care of that. You just be authentically you. What comes up for you? Is that scary? We're going around like Jack Nicholson. We go to work and we go, the truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. If somebody can't handle your truth, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to leave your field or they're going to get on board with the beauty that you are and the beauty that they are, and they will meet you at the place of namaste. Trust that the universe is for you. You will never get there if you don't trust those people. God doesn't make junk at work any more than God doesn't make junk here. Give a little credit to the human race and the people that are sitting across the table from you and go, I believe we can go to a deeper place. And I think you can have a love affair, not physically, with your boss. That you could have a love affair with everybody who crosses your path. You know, Jesus, our master teacher, the guy did not make exceptions. He went and he was hanging around with the dregs of society, the throwaways of society. You're a leper. He didn't go, oh, no, I can't love you because you're less than. Nope. He said, I trust you. He did the same thing with the tax collectors. The lords, the tax collectors, he went to them and he says, I love you too. He went to the fishermen. He went to the tax collectors. He even went to the Pharisees, and even though he was calling them out on their bull crap, he was loving them as well. He sat before Pilate and he said, you have no power over me. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to combat you. I'm going to be the vibrating center of love and then bring you to my level. And I believe the face of the planet was changed because he did not make exceptions to where love would be shared. And I'm asking you to follow that example. Go to work tomorrow and love somebody you have not loved. Go to work tomorrow and find a way to absolutely love somebody who has been labeled unlovable. And you know who they are, don't you? I see heads going, oh yeah, don't make me do that. We were told to seek first the kingdom of God, not to seek first your own safety, not to seek first somebody else's behavior. That's looking at the surface. Go beneath the surface of the water and find the presence of God there, and heaven will be created at work, at the family gathering, or wherever you happen to be. We have another cartoon here. Let's put the other cartoon up there. Not everybody is going to speak the same language of love that you speak. Be the change you want to see. Find the love language. Quit trying to say, you have to show up this way. That's over on expectation and on attachment. If your boss doesn't communicate the way you communicate, learn your boss's language. Be that responsible. Be that responsible for the changing of the paradigm that is the experience and to the creation of heaven on earth, which takes us, I'm going to go to number 7. Go to number 7. We're going to skip it. Take responsibility. Take responsibility. You got it up there, Wes? I want to talk about my friend Iraj, who is the Baha'i. I call him, he's a rabid dog of a Baha'i because he's got such a great message to share. He's sharing it everywhere he gets a chance. But something my friend Iraj says that has touched me at depth, out of all the scriptures he's shared with me, he says, if we're not finding a place of connection, if we're not finding a place of unity and oneness, I certainly have not expressed myself as clearly as I want to express. He takes responsibility for the relationship. Now, how many of us do just the opposite? This isn't working. I really think you need to change. This relationship is just not going anywhere. If you would just be a little bit more like this, we would be just fine. If we're not finding that place of congruity, the partnership and love, guess who was responsible? I am. I will take responsibility. Let me communicate a little bit more clearly my view of who you truly are underneath all of this stuff. Let me communicate more readily from the place of my Christ essence who I am, because I forgot. I take the responsibility for that. And Rumi, both Iraj and I absolutely love Rumi. He's a hero to us. This is how you take responsibility. Let's read this together. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. There you go. Complete and total responsibility. If it's not working, let me find the place in me that is in judgment, that is in projection. Let me get back to the Christ, to the place of namaste, the place of authentically my divine self, and let me meet you there. Removing all the blocks between me and the experience and the expression of love. Now, does that mean that everything in this human journey is going to be perfect, whole, and complete? We got another cartoon. Let's put the other cartoon up there. Go back 2, I think, Wes. That's all the cartoons? I've shown them all? When you get a sign like this from the guy in the sound booth, I guess it's time to stop. But I want you to know that we're on an earth school, and the number 6 that is to expect bumps in the road. It's not always going to be peaches and cream, a bed of roses, and everything working perfectly and the way you have designed it. I hate to tell you that. I did a marriage yesterday, a wedding ceremony, and I love when a couple wants to acknowledge in their ceremony that they're going to have dark times and difficult times as well as great times of celebration. And we need to recognize that as well. I used to visit my sister Liz. Rest her soul. She passed last Thanksgiving, sister-in-law. And I used to go to her house, and I would curse going to her house. I didn't want to go. There are so many speed bumps in her neighborhood. And these are the most illegal speed bumps I've ever seen. They are way too big. A Kia Soul is not meant to go over these speed bumps. And I felt like I was being bombarded by a war every time I go over those speed bumps. And I'd say, God, this is terrible. Somebody needs to fix this. And for months, that was my attitude. Somebody needs to fix this. It's stupid. It's stupid. And then I said, well, let me just see if maybe I can get the vehicle to go over in a more gracious way. Maybe if I slow down a little bit. Maybe if I just slowed down, took a different angle, and tried something different. Let me tell you, these massive speed bumps became fun moments. And we would, woo, woo. The only thing that changed was me and my reaction to the speed bump. If something is feeling like this, be the change that you want to see. Be authentically the Christ, not authentically an SOB. When the speed bump shows up, take responsibility. It says in the book of James, right out of the gate, one of my favorite books of the New Testament, consider it joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you have trials of any kind. Could it be that we could be a part of the creation of heaven on earth by simply changing our consciousness and our view of the speed bump people in our life? I want you to think about the speed bump people in your life. You know who they are. Consider it joy that they are there, because they will become the very portal for you to prove everything we've talked about today. Find a different way to turn this into this. Woo. How you communicate, how you relate is going to get you there or not. But stay at the table. I'm going to leave you with a final joke before we go into meditation. Just because I like doing an Irish accent, I can do one for. So a judge, and I want to thank my friend Peter Breeze for this joke, wherever he is. There he is. He sent this. A judge was interviewing a woman regarding her pending divorce. And the judge asked her, what are the grounds for your divorce? And she said, about 4 acres and a nice little home in the middle of the property with a stream running by. She didn't get it, and the judge was a little frustrated. No, he said, I mean, what is the foundation of this case? Well, it is made of concrete, brick, and mortar, she responded. He began to get a little frustrated. I mean, he continued, what are your relations like? Well, I have an aunt and an uncle living here in town, and so do my husband's parents. Oh, he started to get very angry at this point. He said, do you have a real grudge? Well, no, she replied, we have a 2-car carport and have never had a need for a grudge. Please, he tried again, is there any infidelity in your marriage? Well, yes, both my son and my daughter have stereo sets. We don't necessarily like the music, but the answer to your question is yes, Your Honor. Ma'am, does your husband ever beat you up? Well, yes, she responded, about twice a week. He gets up earlier than I do. Finally, in frustration, the judge asked, lady, why do you want a divorce? Oh, I don't want a divorce. I never wanted a divorce. My husband does. He says I don't know how to communicate with him. When you're sitting at the table of relationship with a desire to be authentic, don't be the one that walks away and gets a divorce. Be the one that communicates at a deeper place. Be the one that communicates at a more profoundly beautiful, light-filled place that you are. Namaste is not just an idea, not just a word. It is a state of being. Let me meet the good, the bad, and the ugly of you. Let it meet the good, the bad, and the ugly of me. And heaven will come as a result of standing in the fire, and you will be purified. Let's take this into a time of reflection and meditation. Take a breath. And go ahead and give me that again. And I want you to bring somebody to mind right now who needs to just be with you in that as you take another deep breath and let it go. Let it all go. Don't let go. No matter how dark or light it may be, don't let go. They fit together perfectly. And there are people waiting to have that puzzle be